So do you want to kick off with, have you got, like, you've been quite busy on, and in fact, one of the stories that you had, everyone's been talking about today that I've spoken to, people on the radio, and also
Is that the Pogues?
Yes. Yes.
I could start with the Pogues. Let us do that now, and I'll dip into my magic box of virtual backgrounds and try and find the right one. Oh, so smooth. That was Viv's tweets. You know what? I was gonna start. No, I will start with the Pogues, because
Okay,
here
cool.
it is, lo and behold. So Andrew Doyle, comedian Andrew Doyle, also the creator of Titania McGrath, some of you will know, tweeted yesterday, the annual debate over Fairy Tale of New York has become a Christmas tradition, like advent calendars or sustained alcohol abuse. I can't wait for another rehash of the baby it's cold outside controversy, due any day now, he says, moving his head. So this is all stemmed from Radio 1, not banning the song, but playing a version that replaces the lyric of you scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lousy faggot, has now been changed to you scumbag, you maggot, you're tired and you're haggard, something like that. Which is Andrew's point. I totally understand it. So we seem to be having this debate a lot now. This is at least the second Christmas that I can remember it being had, and they're being heckled by Viv there very, very successfully. I shall not look. So, you know, basically this is now, not only do we have to listen to the same Christmas songs every year, we're now going to listen to the same arguments about Christmas songs every year as well. And it's just like, that's a bit on the loop. That's enough to make me think maybe the whole COVID Christmas thing being cancelled isn't such a bad thing after all. But obviously, this being a kind of woke versus non-woke debate, a kind of free speech debate, it kind of then went a bit crazy, and you had Lawrence Fox popped up basically saying the same thing. Here we go again. Why can't we use the original version? To which the Pogues response is above my head. Fuck off, you little Herrenvolk shite, was their response. So they made it plain how they felt. But a few other people waded in on this as well and got very creative, which I liked, including comedian Gronya Maguire, who suggested alternative lyric being, you scumbag, you maggot, let's watch some Blue Planet. And then obviously you can just riff on from there, something like, you scumbag, you maggot, your cakes taste like granite. Anything. You can put some suggestions in the chat, actually.
Yeah, I think you should get a prize for the best one. And we'll send it in a tweet to the Pogues.
Well, yeah, I didn't realise that Pogues, only Shane McGowan was Irish. I had no idea about that. And he also wasn't very happy about Fairy Tale of New York being kept off the #1 spot by the Pet Shop Boys. And yeah, said something fairly unkind about the Pet Shop Boys, actually. So there you go. That's my first tweet. Fairy Tale of New York.
Did you see the was it not? Did you mention the Lawrence Fox? Was it Lawrence Fox?
Yeah, he waved.
Yeah. Because I love that. That was my favourite bit of it all, which was like, you know, fuck off. I don't care what you think about the Pogues. So that's brilliant. I do love that. And like I said, everyone's.
Oh no, we've got a late entry from Viv. You scumbag, you maggot. Your fave TV show is Taggart.
Oh, nice, Viv, nice. I think that is got to win. I'm liking that. That's really cool.
Controversial.
All right.
That's good.
So, do you want to? Shall we do a back and forth? I think we'll do a back and forth. Shall we? Okay. So let me find mine. Obviously, the Parrot technology, which I'm not good at. Let's have a look. Where is it? With the smallest one? Oh, yes. Right. So, you know, like they say, don't ever meet your heroes. Is it showing?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
They say don't like ever come across your heroes. So I've been a fan of Kirstie Alley. I know it's sad, but I love Cheers, and only because somebody said I looked a bit like her when I was younger, and I thought, oh yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah, all right, I love her, but I did like her in Cheers. And then I think there was a program, North and South. There was a big sort of serialization on TV, and I was like, yeah, look, she's a kick-ass, fierce woman, and then she had all the problems with the weight, and that really resonated with me. And I'm like, yeah, this is my woman, right? This is my girl. And then I find a tweet on Twitter. I don't know if you can see it, but basically, she's just slagged someone off. So I'm following her, and she says, "Cheryl, you ignorant slut. You follow me, not vice versa." And I'm like, this must be someone else. It can't be my wonderful, lovely Kirstie Alley, kick-ass kid. Why would she slag off another woman? And then I read down, and apparently it's Cheryl, the slut, slutty Cheryl. I thought, yeah, slutty Cheryl, ask for it, slutty Cheryl. And actually, slutty Cheryl's not slutty. She said, "Kirstie, go away. Trump lost in a landslide." And then I follow this down, and I'm horrified to find not only is Kirstie Alley got a potty mouth on Twitter, but worst of all, she's a bloody Trump follower. I was devastated. I think I haven't been that devastated on Twitter since I found out that Ricky Martin was gay. I was really I really fancied him. I went to his concert and everything, and he's saying she bangs, and skin of color mocha. Hello, I'm so his type. Turns out I wasn't, so I was devastated. So I'm just a bit traumatized. I'm in this place where I think, can you follow people that you don't agree with? Because let's face it, all of us do, simply because we want to hear their tweets. We follow Trump, and I'm hoping he's going to carry on tweeting once he's finally gotten rid of. Okay. And so I'm going to continue following. Should I follow Kirstie Alley after she's called someone else a slut, and she votes for, and have thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up if I should still follow her, right, even though she supports Trump and she's called poor Cheryl a slut. Thumbs up.
Whoever Cheryl is, clearly not a Trump fan though.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm going to have to unfollow her. Viv's got 2 hands up, and the farmers don't liking it. Adam's keeping quiet about it. Peter Dennis is probably just laughing behind the screen somewhere. So yeah, that's my first tweet. So I'm just
to say about Kirstie Alley, it's just funny that she's sort of turned out to be a little bit like her character Rebecca in Cheers, who I still fancied her. I don't care. But it's like never meet your heroes or never meet your heroes on Twitter. I've never
meet your heroes on Twitter.
Twitter makes you sort of like, the idea of a hero now is sort of totally debased by Twitter, because it's like, stick around for 5 minutes and this person that you really admire is going to say something you completely disagree with. It's a great leveler like that.
It is, but it's also an indication of you can have friends and associates who think very differently to you, and you can still connect, which is obviously why this Richard and Judy Fellowship got together, and of course with the guests that we're inviting, because I think it's important. If you just keep following people that think like you, so yeah, screw you, I'm following Kirstie Alley, fuck you. Right, I'm going to stay
you also vote for Trump.
Yeah. So your next one.
Yeah, my next one is Dom Cummings. So let me choose my virtual background. Let's have a look. Where are we, Tom Newton Dunn? Well, I'll find a way. If this was in order, wouldn't it be so slick? I think the fact that it's not in order just makes it so much funnier.
They're not laughing.
No, well, they're on mute. We'll never know. We'll never know. This is the beauty of this bit. Maybe we should have unmuted them all. Cummings reading list. Thank you. Okay, so Cummings, this is Tom Newton Dunn. He used to be the Sun's political editor. He's now on the Times radio team. He tweeted a couple of days ago at the tail end of the Cummings farrago. A Cummings proscript. Spads say that Dom ordered them all to buy 2 improvement books. One was Andrew Gove's High Output Management, and the other was Philip Tetlock's Super Forecasting. He'd get them all to buy them and read them and actually test them on the contents. But he said that now a lot of the civil servants have put them on eBay. So I was obviously quite intrigued by Dominic Cummings' reading material, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about what these books entails. And I don't think you can find out the true heart of a book, I think, is basically the 1-star reviews on Amazon. So on High Output Management by Andrew Gove, which you can get as a 15-minute audio book, by the way, for anyone who wants to kind of do it quickly. Apart from lots of comments about how poor the quality of the paper and the binding were, very important. That one guy said, I bought this because having read Philip Tetlock's Super Forecasting twice, I was curious as to why Cummings regards this as an essential reading for his weirdos and misfits. Basically, it's about boiling an egg from the process engineer's perspective. If Cummings and his misfits can't boil an egg, then how are they going to do the big stuff? The UK is in trouble. So pretty damning there. Possibly my favorite review is, crap book, this is so basic, stupid. That's two spelled T-I. So brilliant insight. And then Super Forecasting by Philip Tetlow comes with a bit of a health warning from Wikipedia that says that the Economist reports that super forecasters are clever with a good mental attitude, but not necessarily geniuses. I want my money back. Not necessarily geniuses. Come on, this isn't good enough. And a couple of witty 1-star Amazon reviews about Philip Tetlock's Super Forecasting. I can only read a few pages at a time before the book crashes on my Kindle. I wish I could have seen that coming.
Oh,
And
you can all groan at that one.
Men not in need of this book. It doesn't help me in predicting sports results. So good fun. I had a good fun thanks to Dominic Cummings' reading list. Like, I'll never actually read any of the books he's recommended, but you know, I've got some material out of them.
Yeah, no, that's great. But I'm just still a bit on Cummings, is that image of him coming out of, you know, leaving with his box. It was so, you know, what was the bankers when they all lifted the
Cummings coming out of his box?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just such a stupid image. But you didn't catch a tweet this week where one of the journalists had been fired from something she'd said or written about. Did you send me that tweet? Was it someone else? Okay, moving swiftly on.
It's moving swiftly on,
because that was obviously happening somewhere else. So I'm going to go to tweet number 2, and I think I'm going to choose a quick virtual background. I'm only just learning all this technology now, you know, I don't know how to, and I've got a clue. What does it look like on the things? I have to check my phone. What does it look like? It's Sam Bright. So Sam Bright, is that you? No. Yes, there we go. Okay, so I caught a tweet from Sam Bright, Writes Bright, at Writes Bright with a W. He correct me if I'm wrong, did he work at the Home Office? Yes.
He did.
Yeah, he did. So his tweet says, not to alarm anyone, but I'm looking for the Home Office credit card data, and it appears that someone spent £3,442 in Primark. How the hell can you spend that much in Primark? Guys, we all know a tenner could buy you half the shop, right? Top retail work, Viv saying, top retail work. And then he says, in addition,
it's all in one go, surely not.
I know, and I was thinking, who spent this money? We don't know, we can't, but if it was in one go, I'd like to imagine Priti Patel is probably buying clothes for the immigrants that she wants to deport. I don't know. By the way, she's in the, do we know yet? Did that come out today? Is she leaving? You were supposed to come out earlier on. Have I missed the news? I was working. Yeah, in addition to the Primark expenditure, they've also spent £712 at Homebase, £504 at Halfords, 619 at Heatbusters, whatever the fuck that is, and £559 at Screwfix. And it's like, so maybe so he goes on to say, maybe she's building a rudimentary vessel that she's going to use to sail into the channel and shout at asylum seekers. So I want to know how much the most you've ever spent. And Darshan Sangrita, he's a comedian, says, did they buy Primark, or does the Home Office now actually own it? Which I thought was a really funny tweet, and he's a comedian as well. But yeah, can you put in the box or tell us what is the most you've ever spent in Primark? And I know that you're classy lot. I know the farmers won't even know what Primark is. not in their posh house. No, you don't know what Primark is, do you? I can tell. What is the most you've ever spent? Okay, so that's my quick, sort of short, sweet one, because we want to get our guests on, and I'll take it over to Julia now.
Yeah, this is pretty short and sweet as well. The only dun dun dun. Here we go. Where are we, Carrie? Where are we, Dawn? There we go. Dawn Neeson's tweet. Right. So Dawn Neeson of the Daily Star tweeted about the whole. She said, slightly confused that Carrie Symonds is nicknamed Princess Nutnuts, given that's the very thing Boris Johnson needs to grow a pair of. So nice line, but also gets us into the whole Princess Nutnuts thing. And I, I kind of, the way I feel about that is that she is, I kind of like the idea that she is sort of whispering sweet nothings, but also some sage advice, not, pardon the pun, sage, but to Boris Johnson, because why not? I mean, if she doesn't like Dominic Cummings and Lee Kang, then that puts her sort of firmly in the camp of quite a few people, I think, in the country. So I was quite impressed by that. And I loved, there was a big piece in the Times by Tim Shipman, I think it was, about the sort of intrigue. And it was so, the twists and turns on that, it's well worth reading that. And Robert Peston waded in as well with a nice little addition, because I immediately thought of Carrie the movie, and Robert Peston dug out Carrie, if only they knew she had the power, an old movie poster. Nice little riposte there from Robert. Top stuff, Robert. Much, much better than listening to Robert sound a little bit like Lloyd Grossman. So there you go. That's my tweets. I think you've got one more, haven't you?
I have. So I'm going to just get it up. Okay, so you can read the little replies in the box from the others. Karen's got something about Dragon's Level Dale. Yeah, well, I can't multitask. You're gonna have to look at the box while I get the. Hang on. Yeah, if you check out the box, what people have written in there, and I can then put into my next tweet.
Yes, that's right. Sorry. Dragon's Den level stuff. We salute you. Thanks, Viv.
Yeah, I've got it down. Okay, so my last tweet really that caught my eye for various reasons, because there was a Sainsbury's. Did you see the Sainsbury's scandal? Amnesty staff, you might have seen it on our thing about people getting into uproar about a black family being depicted in the Christmas advert. And then Tesco, so it's Nadine White, she's a Huffington Post journalist, it's Nadine_Wrights with a W. So she's tweeted, Tesco has been accused of removing a black couple scene from its advert to avoid backlash. This comes after the Sainsbury's Christmas advert furore, and model and actress Vanessa Vanderpie, who took to IG stories to express disappointment about being cut from the production. Now, the thing is, it's an interesting one, because obviously initially I went straight into, that's outrageous. How dare they try and diminish us? And what are these like supermarkets, Sainsbury's and Tesco's are dreaming of a white Christmas? Is that what's going on? And then when I had a discussion with Julian, and it turns out, and actually, if you're in, do you do the acting, Viv and Konstantin? Do you do acting? No, right? So okay, if there's any other actors out there, of course you do go for castings and you don't get them. And then you do end up in the cutting room floor. So sometimes you've taken part in something and you don't. So there is that side. However, the fact that people were getting upset because there was a black family at Christmas really outraged me. I've got nothing funny on this. I just had a bit of a rant about it. I was really angry. And what do we feel? Are we threatened about Christmas? If we see, I mean, the funniest part of this was seeing someone tweet underneath all of this is like, well, I'm more outraged that they had a carrot family depicting Christmas, and what about the carrots? And that was probably the funniest thing I saw on that. And I've got nothing on that apart from outrage that we should have more representation. How do you feel about that, Konstantin? Do you have an opinion on that? You can speak.
Yeah, I can now that I've unmuted myself. Hello, everybody.
Yes, yeah.
Hello. How are you?
This is Konstantin, by the way. I just
Hi.
thought we should bring them in, really, because it just looks like, it's all about us, and we'll just let them do 2 minutes each, tight 2 minutes.
Sounds good to me. It is all about you.
You too.
So you were asking me about something about Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that there should be an ideal Christmas that should be depicted in these adverts? Is there an ideal Christmas that we should have, an ideal family? Because obviously over the years you've had children, you've had cartoons, kind of advertising these stores.
Yeah, well, my birthday is on Christmas Day, so if it gets cancelled this year, I'm going to be happy because everyone else is going to be as miserable as me.
Oh, okay, cool. What about you, Viv? What do we?
Oh my God, I can speak. Oh my God, I can't. I've not been on mute for that long in ever.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, I was trying to respect the etiquette. And I was just like, I love it. I love that.
It's all right. It's all about you now. It's fine.
I love seeing into people's houses.
I know, isn't it great? Don't you just love the farmer's house?
I'm obsessed with Mr. Lucy Farmer.
I think the farmers have the best Christmas. I want that Christmas. I want your Christmas, farmers.
He matches his trousers to the curtains.
And Carol's got a really dashing fan as well.
Nice
fan above her.
I'm also obsessed. I don't know if people can see everything. I'm on gallery and I can see everybody. And I'm in love with Pete Dennis. He's so mysterious. He only shows a still of his face.
He's my sound man.
It's frozen.
Okay.
Now he's showing us a grater.
And he does. If you want anything done for your shows,
oh my God,
he does soundscape. He's a genius, absolute genius.
Showing his
and he does great cooking.
I love it. I've just put in the chat a link to this great comedian, Fergus Craig.
Oh yeah.
If people look him up, Katie Brand shared this earlier, and he's done a hilarious 60-second spoof of that Sainsbury's row that you were mentioning.
Oh wow, I've got to catch that.
Where he says, I'm not going to accept any of these adverts until they're fully representative of the British population. You need to take a family with 100 people in it. 84 of those people must be white, 7 must be black, 3 must be Asian, and 1 must be 1% gypsy. And I will not rest until this is done. It's very sweet and brilliant. I really recommend.
Oh yeah, well, there's great. Thank God for the comedians still putting out content out there. Actually, because obviously have you done your tweets? Or have you finished all yours?
We're
done with ours. So we want to get into yours. Maybe we should just do one next time. And then you let the guests speak, and we should introduce you sooner. Yeah, we're learning as we go. Can we just say? So I think we're going to get you in sooner. So I'm itching, I tell you, to find out your tweets. So Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and Viv.
Can we introduce the fabulousness that is?
Yes, of course.
Commentator, writer, comedian Konstantin Kisin, known for writings in the Telegraph, The Spectator, and Colette, but also for his very fabulous show Triggernometry on YouTube with Francis Foster, and the equally fabulous Viv Groskop, writer, critic, broadcaster, comedian, lover, fighter, whatever, author of How to Own the Room, Women and the Art of Public Speaking, and Au revoir Tristesse, Lessons in Happiness from French Literature.
And Russophile as well.
Yes, well, you didn't put, it's not on your mini bio. What's going on?
But there is a Russian connection. We actually did a gig once and we spoke Russian most of it because I'm from Russia. So yeah, many strings to her bow.
Yeah, we've
met each other. You've met each other before. I
really believe that the entire comedy circuit should be conducted entirely in Russian. You know, seeing as now Yevgeny Lebedev in the House of Lords and half of people living in London are Russian, we might as well embrace it.
Yeah, play that circuit.
Hey, I'm going to play with my spotlight. I've been dying to do this for this is my Zoom skill. I've spotlighted us. Fantastic.
I actually love Konstantin's background, by the way. What's behind you? Triggers, something's triggering you. Triggernometry.
It's the show. Right? I'm on set at the studio. So
you're a pro, sir. You're a pro, getting yourself advertising out there. So yeah, are we going to get to find out what these guys are tweeting, or what they've been loving this week?
Is there anything you wanted to say about any of the tweets we selected? Any burning comments? Oh no, Viv put them all in the chat. What am I saying?
There was something, but I don't remember it now.
Wasn't the Pogues by any chance, was it?
No. I mean, Lawrence is a friend of mine, but I'm happy to stay away from it.
Well, I wasn't really.
This is the thing with Twitter, Julian, is that it just, I don't know, this will only make sense to people who've seen Game of Thrones, but there's a scene in Game of Thrones where they're talking about sending people to war. And this character called Jorah Mormont says, inside every man, there's a beast. And it stirs when you put a sword in his hand. And I sort of feel like Twitter is a little bit like that sword. You know what I mean? It's like brings out the worst in everybody. And if you knew Lawrence as a person, he's not like his Twitter persona, which I suspect is true of most of us, actually. We're not the idiots and annoying people that we come across as on Twitter usually. So yeah, I think there's a lot of arguments that are happening now that would never be happening if it wasn't for the fact that we're all stuck at home.
There is a lot of precedent that wouldn't be happening if it weren't for Twitter. So
a lot of precedent.
A lot of precedent. A big president who doesn't want to not be president. So Twitter's got a lot to answer for, and that will always be the case. Like, I think we will look back on this time and think, how did we unleash that beast that unleashed that beast?
Mm.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens once Trump is going to have to go, and then he is going to lose a lot of his Twitter protections that are granted by being a public elected leader. And to see how he's going to cope with that is going to be really interesting, because I think he's going to...
Well, he's not coping with anything very well at the moment, is he? President Cartman. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Well, that leads quite neatly, because Konstantin, I think you've picked up one of the tweets of the moment, really, but which is the Trump Biden
video. Yeah.
So I think
Are you able to pull it up?
Well, I need to try and do a share. We're all co-hosts here, so if anyone's better at sharing stuff.
Is this the thing of him playing the music?
That's right.
Says, yeah, if it's disabled for me, Julian. So when I tried to share it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
We should definitely. Oh, I've made you a co-host.
Is it that?
Oh no, yes, that's the one. But let me see if I can share it.
It's definitely. I mean, actually, we could probably just go the whole.
Can you see that now?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Just don't have the sound.
It's better when I did it on my phone.
That's brilliant.
What happened to the sound? Oh no! I mean, I'm digging the grooves. I'm like totally with the beat, but
can you hear it?
We can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
No.
Okay. I don't know how.
So what are we supposed to be hearing though?
It's very, very funny if you listen to the music.
Hang on, I'm going to put it on.
Go on, Viv. You do your.
Yeah, Viv. How about you do it?
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Just need them to move again.
Is it Arabic music?
Imagine that with the actual dancing, and it's like incredible choreography. Go to the right. Here we go. Oh, Harriet, you should have been a consultant on this show. Go to the little arrow beside the mic. You can change your advanced audio settings and enable background noise. Hang on.
I think she was talking to me.
For me, possibly. I don't know. No, you
want to check out the cat.
Advanced sharing options.
But whilst just doing that, I just want to say that I think Konstantin really raised an interesting point there, how your persona on social media is very different to the person that you are. I expected you, Konstantin, if I'm honest, to be a lot more growly, but you're ever so soft and sweet, and you've got a face of a baby. But from what
it's only because I shaved today. If I let the stubble grow out, I don't look like a baby at all. But Julian should have told you I'm a nice guy. Julian, you've not been doing your job.
He did tell me. I mean, I know that there's a dichotomy between your Twitter persona and who you are. And actually, I cannot get it out of my head. There was a production of The Secret Agent years ago that I saw, and it's obviously not known to be a play, but they'd adapted it. And one of the characters it has this sort of vibrant line, and he goes, "You are a provoking agent," and I was like, "Well, that's Konstantin." So you on Twitter?
I guess, yeah, maybe. There's things I feel strongly about, and I suppose if you constantly tweet about the things that you care, people then assume that that is your persona, and you only care about that, and you know, you don't have a family and you don't have pets and there isn't anyone you love, and you just feel strongly about this thing that you feel strongly about, and that is the entirety of your life. So I think social media is very, very disruptive in that way, as it creates these sort of perceptions of us. But equally, I do like to wind people up. I really genuinely do.
Well, you know, you've got the gift. I mean, certainly when it comes to trigonometry with you and Francis, I know that's when you sit back and you let the guests do the talking. But you know, that's a completely different side of you, isn't it? Really. Yeah,
well, it's weird. I really enjoy doing that and doing interviews now. I haven't been on stage as a comedian, obviously, due to lockdown since March, really. And it's weird. I don't really miss it that much, which is very strange to say. So yeah, it's lockdown has been kind of weird in that I've found something else. And doing interviews with interesting people, I'm starting to enjoy it more than anything else I've ever done.
It's become phenomenally successful, your show, because even today at work, I mentioned this, and of course none of the fuckers turned up, did they? But yeah, I'm just looking around. Are they here? And they said, "Oh, you've got Konstantin on," and I said, "Yeah," and I said, "I thought that might be like entice them to come along." And they said, "Oh, yeah, you know, he's got the show Trigonometry, and it's obviously very popular." And I mean, would you say that it's kind of for a younger crowd, or have you got a diverse audience? Because obviously you must connect with your own audience.
Yeah, whenever we've done live events, we've always been surprised at how mixed it is in terms of everything, not just, you know, skin color and whatever, but age, where people are from. We have, I think, probably quite a few people from around the country. So we're not as London centric as most shows would be. We have a lot of people from up north, because one of the reasons I think we were quite popular is we were two Remainers who made a point of talking to a lot of guests who were in favor of Brexit early on in the history of the show. So those sort of red wall seats that went from Labour to Tory at the last election because of Brexit, those are the sort of people who were following us because they sort of appreciated the honest curiosity that we had trying to understand why people made a decision that we disagreed with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I must admit, I can play testimony to the fact I've been in Edinburgh with Konstantin. I looked after the show in, was it 2018?
It must have been, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was. And, you know, people coming up to Konstantin and sort of congratulating him. And initially, obviously, when they came up to me, I thought, oh, they know me through my PR work. But hey, not really. It was Konstantin. It's because they'd seen Konstantin on Trigonometry, and that was pretty impressive, I have to say. And I would, you know, I wish I could watch it more than I do. But you guys, I mean, how often is it? Twice or three times a week?
Well, that was the thing that happened in March. So because of lockdown, and we essentially, both Francis and I, stand-up comedians, we lost everything we were doing. So we were like, well, why don't we just put all our energy into the show? So we went from putting out one interview and doing one live stream a week where we chat about the stories, sort of like we're doing now, to doing 2 interviews a week and 4 live streams. So we're essentially putting something out every day except Monday. And we're actually working on something to put out on Mondays as well now, so more of a comedy type thing. So yeah, it's been one of those things that's given us a kick up the arse, because I think it's quite possible that if it wasn't for lockdown, we would have let it drag on for years and years without ever going full time with it. But this kind of forced us to do it. So, and I'm someone who's extremely critical of, well, I supported the first lockdown, second lockdown, very critical of, but I can't not recognize that it's been really helpful for us. Been great for me as well, you know, spending time with my wife and whatever, which I'd neglected for years, you know, traveling around the country late at night performing, and, you know.
Yeah, I love the fact about lockdown. Suddenly people discovered, oh, look, we've got kids and a partner.
Yeah, I'm married still somehow. Yeah, exactly.
You look so young.
I've been married for 18 years, so not all that young.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I just thought you were one of those new kind of skinny jean wearing, you know, fetuses. You're so young. You're so young.
Straight out of the womb wearing jeans. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, it is phenomenally, you know, I think you've created something really special, and you've obviously tapped into a market that, you know, loves it. And you've got, would you like to put a figure on how many followers you kind of?
We have about 200,000 subscribers in total, and we'll probably get about 2 to 3 million downloads a month. So yeah, it's doing all right.
Wow.
I've got 20 Instagram followers, all right?
I have even fewer. I don't use Instagram for obvious
21
reasons.
people like our page. 11 not here.
So beat that, Buster. Huh?
Well,
Elite club.
When we started the show, on that very point, it took us 3 months to get 100 subscribers. 3 months.
Julian.
So it just takes time.
You've got to pay your dues.
Yeah, we've got to pay our dues, but we love cherish every person that's here. I want to keep them. I want to keep them for the next one. But listen, I think we should move on to Viv, who has been.
Viv's got the Christmas tweet. I thought we'd do that next, but what are you up to at the moment? Because you've got a Zoom thing going on.
Yeah, well, I have the good fortune of having a whole thing going on with How to Own the Room. I wrote a book called How to Own the Room, and I have a podcast called How to Own the Room, which is all about digging into performance and presence and confidence and all of that stuff, because I'm obsessed with all of that. Like, as I moved from journalism to stand up, and I had to kind of study for myself really quickly, like what's the difference between a good gig and a bad gig, and how come that worked and that didn't work, but it looked exactly the same to me. I've always been like obsessed with that. And so on the podcast, I discuss with loads of different people, from like Hillary Clinton to Nigella Lawson to Mary Portas, Catherine Tate, loads of people, and people from behind the scenes as well, like people who are doing stuff.
Catherine Tate wasn't just playing all of them.
Oh yeah, no, she was. Yeah, she was. She's done all 70 guests. So that was really great. And then lockdown comes, and suddenly we did all of our podcasting face to face, and I was really against doing anything like in this kind of setting in the beginning. Like I think we all were, you know, everybody who does live work is just like, oh, this is second best, this is rubbish. It's really great to see people coming to stuff like this and accepting it and kind of embracing it, and like letting us see into their homes and seeing their beautiful chartreuse curtains. But yeah, in the beginning it was tough. And so then I suddenly thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to do How to Own the Zoom. And initially I was like, oh God, no, I don't want to do that, because I don't want to encourage people to use this technology. And then I realized that actually, no, it's taking on a life of its own. And I think even when all of this goes away, we will be way more dependent on it than we were before the pandemic. You know, people are going to use it as an excuse to not travel, to not pay for people to go to meetings and stuff. So yeah, I've been having quite a lot of fun with How to Own the Zoom, actually. It's been really sweet. And I've just been doing this week the Chortle Comedy Book Festival, which was really fun, and a lot of that was on Zoom, and people would be unmuted and you could hear them laughing, and it was I feel tragic saying this, but it was kind of like being at a gig, you know. It was really lovely. So yeah, I've, you know, personally I've been up and down, you know. I've found it really hard to not be in front of live audiences, and I have these really weird dreams about performing, and about like all of my Edinburgh shows have been in my dreams, and I really, really miss it. But I've become a massive COVID cliche, and I've started doing wild swimming. I go swimming in the Thames. I'm going to die of Weil's disease. And
the Thames is contaminated.
But yeah, I am that.
That would be ironic during a global pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm doing all the COVID cliches, making the banana bread and all of that bullshit.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned live gigs, because we have got a bit of an audience here from my club, from the Comedy Cottage, and I have to tell you, guys, they are so. You played it, haven't you, Viv? And you know how gorgeous they are, aren't they? There's the best audience. I just love them so much, and I miss them.
So lovely. Well, that's a massive part of gigs, is the regulars who make those gigs happen. And I've seen in lots of different settings people coming to support and recognizing that we all need to find our feet on these new media, and kind of being there and cheering us on, and it's just really lovely to see.
I'm just going to add,
especially when they're easy on the eye, like the cheese man.
Yeah, like there you go, Pete. Got a compliment. Pete was just seeking some attention. Then he said the sound man is the best, and actually he is. He creates the atmosphere. Would you agree? The farmers, isn't it Pete the great sound man? Farmers, yes, their thumbs up there. There you go. Your neediness belt.
To show their appreciation during the Q&A.
Yeah, but I think we should get your first.
Yes.
Your first tweet.
Oh, do you want to do my first tweet?
Yeah, totally. Have you got?
Yeah, I've got it. I haven't got it lined up to. There's no way I can show it on the screen. I'm not that kind of.
Oh, I can do it. I can do it.
Can you do it? Have you got the?
Is it going to be do the Christmas one, or which one do you want to do first?
What do you want to do? Tom Peck's tweet.
Yeah. Hang on.
Yeah.
Worst. I've called it worst, obviously.
This is a really what I love. So this is Tom Peck. He's a journalist, and he just tweeted this really sweet. I love this kind of wordplay on Twitter. I was kind of fascinated by the idea that, you know, your concept is let's kill Twitter, but I feel like in reality you all secretly love it and you're celebrating it. And I try to choose things that kind of reflect why I still stay there, and I kind of secretly love it. And I find it really sweet when people have a bit of wordplay. So he says, friend from Germany says the supermarkets are clean out of sausage, cheese and chocolate toffee chews. This was to be expected in the reasonable worst case scenario. And I was like, yay, big up the German speakers.
Is it as funny as my forehead? I don't think so.
There's a joke about worst in case scenario.
It was very well put together.
I love it when people have some like sort of really cheesy, geeky joke that actually doesn't really go viral. That's my favorite thing. I'm not really interested in the things which get like 60,000 likes because they don't need my attention. But reasonable worst case scenario, come on.
It was very well put together, I have to say. I'm glad you mentioned that, because the whole thing about let's kill Twitter, it is meant to be, dead bird aside, it is meant to be double-edged in the sense of like the comedian sense of let's kill Twitter, as in, you know, let's get stuck into this gig and slam dunk it. Obviously erring slightly on the other side, but there's definitely a love it. I mean, I totally love it. I mean, I have to kind of, I've resigned myself to that fact now that I'm in it now.
Pete Dennis says, who doesn't love a sausage?
You know, he's flirting, isn't he? Yeah, doesn't love a bit of sausage. But no, I think I'm agreement with you about tweets that are silly, that get your eye sometimes a bit more than I'm not, you know, I've never got 1,000 likes. I've never done anything that's got that many likes. I don't even have that many followers, to be honest. I'm hardly ever on there. I don't know why I'm on this show, really. I should just be kicked off. You should just kick me out, Gillian.
It's too early for the band to split up, I think. But anyway.
It's too early for the band to split up. I'm just going to go solo, just like Robbie did. I'll take that. But no, I love that you picked that one. And obviously Peter Dennis as well. All my tweets are complaints to Virgin Media, and they're still utter shite.
I know we'll have a special. We'll have a special.
You have a Virgin Media Twitter, because I think everybody can relate to that. There's such bastards.
A consumer special. Konstantin, what's your next tweet?
My next tweet was also a joke. It was the one about the Scouser with a genie in a lamp.
Okay, I've got it. If you, there we are. Where are we? See, this is what jokes need. They need the kind of. Oh, here we go. I'm just going to move out of the way so everyone can read it.
Yep. We all read that, right?
Oh, the technology. Should really just blank me out, really. But right.
You could just read it out.
I was waiting for you to read it out.
Oh, you're waiting for me to read it out. I still can.
Away. I think everyone's read it now, though.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it made me laugh, that one. I find it very funny. I like jokes on Twitter, particularly, that are sort of observing some kind of reality that I hadn't recognized before, and point out something about what's going on. So I really like this one.
Yeah, it was quite well. It was quite nicely put together. And let's stay with you for your next one. Let's vary up a bit.
Are we going to go serious now and provocative? I feel like you've brought me on to annoy people.
It's completely.
They were my tweets. I know.
I'm very disappointed that you're not annoying.
Okay, well, let's
ever so sweet and lovely.
Let's see if we can't do something about that, shall we, Sajila? There was a tweet from someone I know called Alex Kashuta about International Men's Day yesterday.
Oh yeah, we're going to disagree on this one.
So the United Nations. Now, Julian, you're actually going to have to read it for us because I can't read the United Nations tweet.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a little stretchy. So, so Alex Kashuta has commented on. So the original tweet is from the United Nations. Happy International Men's Day to all the male allies around the world who support women, defy gender roles, fight gender-based violence, and stand up for equality. UN Women invites everyone everywhere to support generation equality. unwomen.org/en. And Alex has written Men's Day, women most affected.
Yeah, so it's a bit of an nearly knocked my laptop. But it's a bit of a sort of internet meme about women most affected. Now, I'm not one of these people who's like massively obsessed about men's equality or whatever people talk about it, but I do find it interesting that even on Men's Day, that sort of thing does get brought up, and sort of everyone tries to make it about them. And I thought her reply was very funny.
Anyone wish adding to that?
Well, that is, I think if you're going to mention that, you can't not mention Richard Herring. Richard Herring's made a career out of this whole Men's Day meme, and I think he's written a book about it actually. And
believe it or not, I don't even know what you're talking about. Tell me.
Are you serious? You're not serious?
Yeah, I am serious.
What, you don't know about Richard Herring and his International Men's Day thing?
I have heard something about it, but I've never paid any attention to it.
Every international, is it, Julian, you'll know more than me about this. Every International Men's Day, whenever it is, he does something.
No, hang on. It's every International Women's Day.
Every International Women's Day. Day.
Okay.
He puts out loads and loads of tweets saying, "But when will there be an International Men's Day?" Right. There is.
Being ironic, yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of collects all of the tweets that people write about this, and he is just trying to puncture that balloon of like, who really cares? Like, bottom line is, a lot of women think International Women's Day is bollocks. I mean, they're not going to like be against it because like it's just harmless. It's just, let's support women's rights. Yeah, who doesn't? So I find it irritating when people get genuinely angry about this, because I think everybody is on the same page, apart from people who want to be really, really angry. Yeah,
but I do like International Women's Day and Women's Week because I get lots of gigs that week.
That's true. Yeah. It is.
Suddenly they remember that I'm around, and then it's like, oh, she's a BAME, oh, we've got loads of box. Oh, disability. We're ticking all the boxes. I mean, they can feel really good for the rest of the year. So all the promoters out there, just book me that international. That's it. You've done your bit for charity, really. You've done it. You've done your bit for women's rights. For diversity, for disability. You've done it. Covered.
It's like that Shappy Corsandi joke. I am the box ticker. Who's next?
Viv, I think. Yeah.
So is it Xtina? The next one? Oh no, that's my like one. Hang on. Work out your Tory special advisor name.
Oh yeah, okay, that's
yeah. Again, this is like a slightly lame joke that would not get 50 million likes, but I just kind of liked it. This is from a guy called. Oh, do you want to do a different one? Guy Walter.
No, I don't. I want to get the right one first.
Find it.
Oh, here we go.
Worst case scenario. Yeah, work out your Tory special advisor name by taking your first name, your father's surname, and your friend's job at number 10. I mean, it's just like, a nice little bit of cozy needling, and that I've really enjoyed, being outraged, really, not genuinely enjoyed being outraged by all the stories that have come out this week about the PPE and how all of the contracts went through this special channel. If you phone up the number 10 and you give the code word and say, I donated 50p to the Tory party in 1983, then you get the hotline and you go through and you get to get £123 million contract for PPE, despite the fact that you've never worked in PPE. I mean, I think that is. There's been a lot of smoke screens since then with the defence budget, all the stuff today about Priti Patel, all very conveniently timed. That's all stuff that's going to blow over. But the PPE stuff is absolutely shocking. We bought stuff at 1,000 times more than it cost on the normal market. And they went to PPE, they went to people who had no record in the PPE industry whatsoever.
Mm.
And they ignored hundreds of companies whose job has been for decades to provide PPE. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Even worse than that, there was a story in The Guardian today about the fact that quite a lot of the PPE that we ordered for our hospitals were made by North Korean forced laborers in China.
Oh my God. Like,
it's just wherever you look at any aspect of it, it just gets worse and worse. It's incredible.
Terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just on the funny side, Pete's just said he wants to go for a PPE.
Yeah. I was laughing at the PPE situation, but I wasn't really. I was laughing at Pete Dennis.
But that's what I'm saying. Pete
Yes,
Dennis is like funny,
yeah.
funny
but
little
I also
thing.
think that it sets an
What's going on between you and him, Viv? What's happening? Like, he's not even showing himself.
Pete was having a bit of a thing with Karen at some point in the chat, and
I know, and then he just he's a player, Zoom player.
Yeah,
total Zoom player.
It sets an interesting precedent in terms of job hunting. It's like, but you've got no relevant experience. It's like, yeah, what about that guy? But hey,
but maybe these guys, you know, the government's friends, they were Fatima. They had just retrained to make PPE equipment, you know, in a pandemic. They were just thinking outside the box, like Fatima has to do.
They were all former ballet dancers.
That's right.
Who found a new vocation.
Yeah, and now they're making PPE. You know, they're doing something with their lives, not moaning that there's no more gigs. You know, like Fatima is.
I love it.
Moany bitch, yeah. Oh, you all know what I'm talking about, don't you, Fatima? The advert they had with the ballerina, which always so really pissed me off, because it's like she would have had to struggle as an Asian woman, and it's a Muslim name, to have actually got into ballet, and now she's been told,
yeah, you know,
that
wasn't her real name, and it wasn't even a photo that they'd cleared. It was a photo from a dance school in Canada that they just found on the internet, and they didn't even seek permission for the use of the
photo. My God, and they used a filter like I did, because I'm not even Asian. I just use a filter on Zoom to tick Julian's boxes.
For a campaign the previous year, though, wasn't it? I mean, the campaign wasn't.
Yeah, the campaign was old, and they repurposed it, but they didn't even have a cleared use for the photograph.
This was you picked out a reply to the SPAD as well, which is this.
Oh yeah, what did Stefan? Oh yeah, reply. Oh yeah, so this is what I like about these kind of quite cute, gentle. That for me, it's like a nice way of connecting with people. Twitter, it still can be. And Stefan Stern replies about this. Tory special advisor name reminds me a bit of the alleged Oxbridge interview question for royals. What subject do you want to study, and is your mother the Queen?
Oh, my neck. My neck's killing me from this.
I love it.
There's got to be a better way. Oh dear. Right. Okay. So where does that, Konstantin?
I'm down to my last one. This one is not funny at all, but it is a very interesting thing. It's the one thing that I always talk about, which is censorship of online content. And I've been trying to, if I can convince the however many of us, there are 11 of you, that this is important, that will be a good result. Because as we fight over who's president, who's prime minister, which party is in charge, which party is not in charge, actually, the problem that we're going to face in the future is the fact that 4 companies in the world, Google, which owns YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Facebook owns Instagram, but there's 1 or 2 others. They control all the information that we have in society, essentially, nowadays, particularly during lockdown. And that means they're essentially deciding what is and isn't true. So this is a tweet in reference to an interview with Dr. Michael Yeadon, who is a contemporary of Sir Patrick Vallance. Amazon, Harriet points out Amazon, exactly. He's a contemporary of Sir Patrick Vallance. They worked at Pfizer together, and he was the head of respiratory research at Pfizer. And he is very critical of the lockdowns that have happened in this country and many of the things the government have done. And that interview was deleted by YouTube, not for the first time. We've had videos of ours on Triggernometry where we've interviewed prominent lockdown critics as well, taken down or shadow banned or whatever. And my point with this tweet is that the big tech companies now essentially control the whole flow of information. And if that continues to happen, 10 years from now, it's not going to matter who the president is. it's not going to matter whether it's Trump or Biden, because they're going to be in charge of everything. So that is something that you will hopefully not have to remember a few years from now as being right. But that is something that worries me a lot. And I just thought, since it was something that happened today, it was worth bringing up.
And, you know, in terms of this, you know, what you see as the censorship, do you feel this is happening in a particular direction? You know, I mean,
well, it is right now. So, for example, if you remember at the beginning, right, the World Health Organization said that YouTube should delete any content that does not comply with World Health Organization recommendations, which the World Health Organization then reversed. They initially said lockdowns were the right thing to do. They've since come out and said, actually, we shouldn't have done a lockdown. We shouldn't do it again. But YouTube was busy deleting those things in the first place, right? So my point isn't even necessarily about who's right or wrong. I'm not a doctor. I don't know whether a lockdown is the right thing or not. My point is YouTube shouldn't be deciding what is and isn't true. That isn't their job.
Viv, do you want to make the point that you just made in chat?
Yeah, I made the point in chat because I thought I might forget it.
Good note.
Yeah,
it's a really good point.
Konstantin's right about everything. He's completely right about all of this, and we've all seen it happen over the last 10 years. The only thing that's going to stop it is regulation. And if anybody's watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, it explains it brilliantly, and it's a documentary that is full of escapees from Silicon Valley who invented all of the algorithms that are basically designed to hold us hostage. You know, they designed it like a slot machine, and you can't escape from it. You know, you're addicted to it, and it's designed that way. But the point that documentary makes really brilliantly is that there's only really one person who's controlling the information, and that is you. You know, and we all have to take responsibility for this and say, I'm switching it off. I'm going to use like Freedom, you know, a thing that switches off the internet when you're trying to work, or I'm going to, you know, turn off my Facebook. All of that stuff is down to all of us. And I mean, it's depressing that nobody's taking responsibility for it. And I do think like in the next few years, hopefully there will be some sort of regulation, and there will be this groundswell, and a lot of people have been
What kind of regulation?
Sorry, I was going to say, can you envisage what that regulation might look like? Because we talk about this often.
One form of interesting regulation is making people pay tax.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that they really go into in the Social Dilemma is basically there are no fiscal incentives for these companies to be more responsible, and that would be at least a start. Make Amazon pay tax, make Google pay the right tax. And then they might be incentivized just slightly, just a very small idea. Yeah, it's depressing. Control your diet.
Well, I'm glad I've brought that up so everybody can enjoy their Friday night.
Well, yeah, well, you will enjoy your Friday night if you watch The Social Dilemma. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I must see that. I saw him on Bill Maher on Real Time, which I love. I love Bill Maher so much. And it was a great interview. I mean, they're always too short. There's always much more that could be said, but I totally need to see that. Well, actually, before we lighten things up, Viv, you've actually got two tweets left, and one of them is on a fairly kind of, here we go. Pretty night. I don't even have to move my head for this one.
Yeah, I just like this. Christmas Day is boring as fuck and not worth dying for. I mean, I don't know if that's my personal opinion. I'm fed up of having an opinion as to whether we should be in lockdown or not. My opinion affects nothing anyway. So I think we all need to get a little bit used to just going with the flow on all of this. But I don't hate Christmas. I am no Scrooge. But I do think that we should just do whatever is kind of sensible and stop freaking out about this whole kind of, oh my God, it'll be so terrible if our families cannot be joined together at this precious time. You know, we'll get over it. Like, we'll have a really great Easter. I mean, so I liked the, you know, boring AF. Yeah, it can be. So, and I love this hashtag as well. I didn't know about this hashtag. Hashtag No Nuance November. Say what you think.
Love it.
Only in November, of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this COVID Christmas thing is pretty tricky, though. I mean, there's a lot of people. I basically get all my news from Jeremy Vine's Channel 5 show. Sorry. But,
Speaking about picking your diet, Julian.
My what?
Your blood pressure.
My blood pressure. It's not that bad. It's only when Mike Motzit's on it that it's so bad. But the rest of them are pretty calm. But and the dichotomy there is all the panelists are very much like, you know, we just got to make a sacrifice of these 5 days. We don't want to lock down in January. We want to just, you know, see the back of this. And then all the callers are like, well, you know, I really want to see my relatives. Da 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 da. It's, you know, it's tricky. I mean, I don't know whether anyone's got a particular like definite opinion of in the summer, people were going back to see their sort of kin and probably not feeling as self-conscious about this, but there's no getting away from it now. We've had a month of lockdown. We're still in a month of lockdown, and then we might be going back to tier 2, whatever. So it's a bit of a different ball game.
Well,
you know.
This is my prediction. We are living under a government who are more afraid of being unpopular than of death statistics.
Absolutely. And what's worse is what the calculation they've made, because the government, according to their own projections, that actually lockdown will kill more people than it saves. But the lockdown deaths won't be attributed to them, whereas the COVID deaths will be. So they'd happily reduce COVID deaths at the expense of killing loads of people later from missed cancer diagnosis and whatever. But the only point I would make, I agree with it. The only thing I would say is your experience of lockdown depends entirely on your subjective circumstances. If you live in a large house in a comfortable area with parks around you and family next to you and whatever, that's completely different to someone cooped up with living with someone they don't like or someone who's abusive or whatever. So how people react to lockdown is very personal, and some people are very fortunate and some people are extremely unfortunate. And so I think I'm always hesitant, which is unusual for me, to make sort of hard and fast judgments about this thing, because everybody's different. And I've seen people going absolutely crazy because some people have been stuck indoors for 8 months, you know. They literally have not left their house for 8 months because they're shielding or whatever. So yeah, you have to have a little bit of understanding of different circumstances.
I have to say that when lockdown started, I noticed no tangible.
Sorry, we're laughing at Pete.
Tangible.
Peter Dennis today. Peter Dennis is worked at the Comedy Cottage for over 14 years, and he's actually become funnier than the comedians now. Like doing all the sound. That's very funny. Do they ever work with virtual media? Comedy gold from Peter Dennis from Viv there, definitely. Thanks for entertaining us, Pete. No, all. I don't know. What are you going to be doing for Christmas? That's actually was a question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Julian, I know we talked very briefly. Do you want to tell us what you might be doing? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, my family want me to go home, but I have this sort of like trying to explain to my mum what a virus is. She's had 8 months to learn, but so I don't know. I just. But I'm interested to know whether other people will actually think they can. I mean, the way I live, I live on my own. I work from home, and actually, when lockdown came, I was like, I didn't really notice. So it's like, wow, the government have mandated my lifestyle. This is amazing. I knew I was right. So I mean, I consider myself as quite low. I'm quite a low risk, but I still don't feel very comfortable about doing it. But that's my.
What about you, Viv?
I'm going to be having Christmas with Pete at this rate.
And your cheese, Pete and his cheese.
Yeah, he's got the cheese in already. That's what I really like about him. There's quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's
Pete's totally up for it. I think he looks up for it with that emoji.
He definitely does.
What is that emoji? We can't work out what that emoji is. Could you translate, please, Pete, what the emoji is?
He's saying, "Let's watch Morecambe and Wise on Christmas Day together."
He's like Zorro, isn't he? It's a Zorro Zoom, because you can't really see him as kind of the masked Zorro. It is me, Zorro. Oh, actually, that's a terrible for two people who were Russian descent to do that terrible accent.
No, we are in our household. We are gripped by the whole thing of like, are we going to be able to have anybody round? All of that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, there's no point in speculating about it now because it could.
But what about in your household? Have you got like all your family in your household?
I've got I have 3 children, and unfortunately they have to stay in my household. And my husband and an extremely aggressive cat. I think this has been most difficult for the cat because he's like, why don't you fuckers ever go anywhere? This was my house. and you're just
Trust
always
a
here.
cat to see it from the other side. I mean, I love cats, but
Yeah.
trust a cat to see it from the other
Because
side.
no one's discussed pets, how it's affected pets. Lockdown.
Dogs
You
love
know.
it, cats hate it.
Yeah, that's I'm liking that.
It's true. There's been psychological research on this. I've read it in The Guardian.
Oh well, it must be true. That's
Must
fine.
be true.
And similarly, Konstantin, obviously,
Is there anyone
now
left? There's still some people left at the Guardian, are there? Oh
they're
dear.
all leaving by the bucket loads, aren't they?
Yeah.
Konstantin, what about you? Because you've got a family, so have you got all your bubble people with you?
I don't have a family. It's just me and my wife.
Oh, okay.
And as I said, my birthday is on Christmas Day, so we will literally be celebrating it exactly the same way we always celebrate my birthday, which is with the two of us and absolutely no one else.
Oh,
Right.
That's actually quite romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless you want to have friends around, in which case it's not.
Well, yeah. I mean, have we got any more tweets left?
Yeah,
Has
one
everyone
last
done this?
nice visual gag to get Buckers on a high.
I
There we
get
go.
locked down, but I get up again. They never get up. I just love this. Again, like
Yeah,
this
I
is
like
why
this.
we should have Twitter. I get locked down, why get up again? That just cheered me up.
This
No
relies
way.
on people remembering the Chumbawamba hit.
Yeah,
that
the best.
that Anarchist meets Top of the Pops. What was that about? Wow. Quite, yeah. And we should do a poll who remembers Chumbawamba. If anyone remembers Chumbawamba, please reassure us in the chat box that we're not too old or something.
I have no
But
idea.
that's a good one. I've seen that. I think somebody else retweeted that as well. I nearly picked that one out myself, so I'm glad you did.
Classic.
A classic. Now we need to unleash the beasts. I need people to. I will control that unmuting. But I say people unmute.